Greetings, Frogman here, and in this video we're going to edit a black and white portrait. Now it's important, if at all possible, to shoot in RAW because we're going to need as much of that extra tonal information as humanly possible, because two key things to a black and white image. First is you want a buttload of contrast, and second, you want to make sure you preserve detail in important areas. Now, there will be areas that you don't care about the details, so if they fall off to pure black or pure white, it's not a big deal, but there will be other areas that you want to make sure you maintain that detail. And the problem with doing high contrast images is contrast likes to kill detail. So if you're shooting in RAW, you can recover a lot of that and do selective enhancements to bring back detail. If you're shooting in JPEG, do not use the black and white setting on your camera. You want to do the black and white conversion later on in software, because we will be using color tonal information to adjust certain things in our black and white image. And if you don't have any color information, this isn't going to do a whole lot of good. Alright, so let's get started. First thing we want to do is white balance. And we want to do this for that very reason, because we're going to be working with those color tonal ranges to enhance our black and white. We want to make sure we have accurate color when adjusting those. So, to white balance, we want to choose the white balance selector tool. We want to find something neutral white or neutral gray in the image. What does that mean? Well, we can use the white of my eye here if we wanted, or my white shirt here. And when you look at this grid here, you want to make sure that all of the squares are very similar in color. Otherwise, you will not get a very accurate white balance. So we're looking here, and so we're just kind of hunting around for a nice white area that has very similar colors. That looks pretty good. And now we're to accurate color and white balance. And now we can go ahead and convert it to black and white. And all you need to do is, in the basic panel, you got the treatment thing here, and you just want to click that black and white. First setting is exposure, and I did underexpose just a tiny bit. Looks like about 1/3 of a stop. Nice thing about RAW is you can under or overexpose by 1 or 2 stops, and you can still recover the image pretty well. Next is contrast. Now, if this was a color image, I probably wouldn't touch the contrast slider that much because it's very heavy-handed. But with black and white, we want heavy-handed. We want a lot of contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and boost that way up. We'll go to plus 48. That's looking like a big difference already, before, after. Just those two adjustments. Highlights. If I had some important detail in the very bright sections of the image that I wanted to recover, I would reduce this highlight slider. I'm actually okay, so I don't need to do anything with that. Shadows you're almost always going to want to increase because we're going to be doing such heavy contrast work. We're actually going to want to overdo the shadows a little bit, because that will help us maintain a little detail later on. Not all of it, but it'll give us a nice start. Whites and blacks, these are probably the two most important sliders when working with a black and white image. We want to make sure we have pure whites and pure blacks, which means in our histogram up here, these are the blacks, the very left side, and these are the whites, the very right side. And we want to clip just a tiny bit, or maybe a lot, depending on the image. To see the clipping, we can click this little triangle here, and anything that's white that's clipping will give us a big red splotch. So I'm going to go ahead and increase my whites. I like for this adjustment to be very specific, so I click in the box, and I use my up and down arrows on my keyboard to raise the value by 1 increment at a time. And I want the background blown out to pure white, so I don't mind if that loses detail. The red splotches mean I've lost all detail in that area. What I don't want is any spots in my face area to lose detail. Like I've got some red splotches in the whites of my eyes, and a little bit of clipping is fine, but we don't want to go overboard. So that looks pretty good. And now we're going to go to the black slider, and this is where the bulk of your contrast is going to come from. However, you're going to lose a lot of detail in the blacks, but that's okay. We can fix that later. And if we want to see the black clipping, we click the left triangle here, and as we reduce the blacks, we're going to start to see little blue patches start to come in. And it's okay if we get a little bit in the very dark areas, but we don't want too much black clipping. We want a little bit because, like I said, we want that pure black and pure white. So that's looking pretty good there. And we can go ahead and turn off black clipping and look at the before and after. And already we've got a huge boost in contrast, and that's looking pretty good just as it is. Next, we have the clarity slider. Now, the clarity slider brings out texture and detail. So it's a selective contrast. It just boosts the things that really need the contrast. However, clarity is better for more masculine faces in which you want to bring out texture. Maybe elderly faces that have cool wrinkles and things that you really want to accentuate. But for more feminine faces, more softer faces, maybe baby faces, you actually probably want to stay away from the clarity slider because it'll bring out imperfections in makeup, it'll enhance pores, and it'll give a gritty look to something that maybe you want to look soft and smooth. So in my case, I kind of got a lumberjack vibe going, and I do want a little bit of grit, a little bit of texture coming through on my face. So I'm going to go ahead and boost the clarity quite a bit. Now, the problem is I really lost the detail in my beard here and my hair, and my eyes went to pure black marbles, but that's okay. We can fix that later on with an adjustment brush. Okay, next we're going to go to the black and white panel. Make sure you hit the B and W. If you hit the color or HSL, that's going to convert the image back to color, and we don't want that. Now, when I do my black and white mix, Lightroom already gives you some values it thinks are good. I like to start from scratch. I don't like it messing with that. So to reset these values all at once, you can hold down your Alt or Option key on the Mac, and it'll say Reset Black and White Mix, and that'll bring these all back to 0. Skin tones are mostly contained in red and orange, and a little tiny bit in yellow sometimes. But in this image, we don't really have a background. We don't have trees or skies or anything like that. So really the only tonal values are in the red, orange, and yellow. So that's what we're going to be working with. If you want to bring out freckles or rosy cheeks or just details in the face like that, a good trick is to bring down the red slider, and that's really going to bring out like I said, freckles and different things. It'll also bring out blemishes, but we can remove those a little bit later on. So I'm going to bring down my reds to really bring out the texture in my face. And if you really want to enhance the contrast between the freckles and things like that, then you could bring up the orange slider, and that'll give you kind of a nice effect. It'll give you a nice bright face, but still give you those cool freckles and textures and things like that. Yellow in this case really is only going to affect a little bit of my hair because I got brown hair. If you had blonde hair, the yellow would probably help with that too. In all of these sliders, you just want to move back and forth and see how they affect your image. And they're great because you can really choose which tones you want to pop and which you kind of want to subdue. and gives you a lot of control. So this is a great panel, and will a lot of times make a huge difference in your edit. So next we have detail. Lightroom by default adds some sharpening to your image, and that's fine for this image. It's already pretty sharp. I got good focus, and so I don't really need to do more than they already did. If I shot this at a high ISO, like if I did like 800, 1600, then I might want to do some luminance noise reduction and move that over. And with noise reduction, you just want to do just enough to where it's tolerable. You don't want to do too much, or else it'll make your image really, really soft, and you'll lose a lot of nice granularity and texture. So I don't really need noise reduction on this. I shot it at a low ISO, so I'm fine with that. Lens corrections. Lightroom has a database of tons of lenses, and it knows the flaws in those lenses, whether they have barrel or pincushion distortion, or if they have vignetting around the corners. And just by clicking this enable profile corrections, it'll fix all of that for you. I also like to check remove chromatic aberration. It doesn't really matter in black and white, but in a color image, that would get rid of any color fringing around fine edges like tree branches, things like that. So clicking these two pretty much in every photo is recommended by me. So those are our basic adjustments. We went from there to there, and it's looking pretty good. And now we just need to go into the fine detail work to just give this image the little extra oomph that it needs. Next thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the blemishes. We're going to do that with the spot removal tool. Excuse me. And we're going to have it set on heal. The size I'm going to determine by using my scroll wheel on my mouse, going up and down to increase and decrease the size. You can also use the left and right bracket keys on your keyboard. Feather we're going to set to 0. Feather is more for if you're doing cloning. And opacity we want it 100 because we don't want any of the blemishes to show through. So I'm going to zoom in to 100%, and here's our first blemish. And I want the circle to be just a little bit bigger than the blemish, and then I just click once. Lightroom will sample another area to cover up the blemish with. If you don't like the area it sampled, you can click and drag this circle around until you are happy with the adjustment. One thing I like to have turned on down here is tool overlay set to auto. That way when I'm working in the area, I have my little indicators, but if I move my mouse off to the side, I can get an unobstructed view of my adjustments. And so that is really handy. So we're just going to go around and look for little blemishes and unattractive bits that are distracting. Maybe this little spot on my nose here. I got a little white head here. I know it's kind of gross at 100%, but sometimes editing photos is a dirty business. And we're just going to go around the image and find just those little spots. I've got this ugly thing here. Try to find a suitable spot to apply. This one's, that looks pretty good. Okay, and just go around the face. Got a little bright spot in my beard here. Don't like that. And then of course I've got the dreaded unibrow hairs. Yes, I have a little bit of a unibrow. Try to shave it, but it doesn't always work out. And we're going to use a new feature in Lightroom 5 in which you can actually paint a spot removal onto your image. So you just click and hold, and then you can just using a paintbrush, just paint out the area that you want to fix. And it kind of looks like got a little United States of America. That looks nice. And a lot of times it's not going to choose a very good sample area, so you're just going to have to move it around until you are happy with the blending. And you don't really have to match the color or the brightness, but you do want to try and match the texture. Find a spot to sample from that has similar texture. So in this area I kind of had like a porous texture, so we'll choose another spot that has those pores and move our mouse to the side, and that actually looks pretty good. Got rid of those unibrow hairs, and looks like I got another little spot here and maybe a little spot here. And you can get as anal as you want with spot removal, or just get rid of the main stuff. If you're doing like a dark shirt that has like dust on it, oh man, that's always a problem. Then you might try this visualize spots checkbox, and you can make the spots more visible by moving the slider, less visible. And this isn't really good for faces, but if you have like a shirt that has a lot of little specks and dust on it, this can really help you find all those spots and get rid of them easily. So we'll go ahead and turn that off, and I think we're pretty good with our spot removal. Looks nice. Next thing I want to do is, I shot this and I wanted it pure white in the background, so I want to make sure that I achieve that. And looks like I didn't have my flashes turned up quite enough. Got a few spots that did not go to pure white, so I'm going to use my adjustment brush, and I'm going to go ahead and it's already set it all the way to 4, all the way to 11, and we're just going to paint away the places that did not go to pure white. So now we have a pure white background, and we're looking good there. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to enhance my eyes. The way I lit this, I only had 2 flashes, and I used them for the background, and I just used a work lamp to light my face. And the problem is you have eye sockets, and eye sockets are recessed, and you have eyelids and eyelashes, and that all is supposed to keep direct light from getting in your eyes and blinding you, which means if you don't light your eyes properly, they are going to go real dark and look like black marbles. And the nice thing is you can fix that later on if you didn't light them well enough. So we're going to use the adjustment brush again, and we've got this drop down menu which has a lot of great presets. We're going to use the Iris Enhance, and it's going to be a good starting point. It's not going to get us all the way there, but what I want to do is set my feather to 100 so I have a big transition area, and we're just going to paint in the irises and kind of leave the pupils alone. It's okay if we bleed over, but just mainly want to get the irises. And like I said, it's not important that you're super precise. That's why we have that big 100 feather. But you can see if you click this show selected mask overlay, you can see where you painted and if you missed any spots, and just go in and fix those to your heart's content. And we'll turn off the demon eyes. And it looks like we still need to make these pop a little more. I'm going to go ahead and up the exposure big time. We're going to go to like 1.15, I guess. And that looks pretty good. That looks like if I had actually shined light into my eyes, it would bounce around in the iris and give them a nice glow. Another thing you can do, especially if this was a color image, If you have brown eyes, you can move the color temperature to the right to give them a nice amber tone. If you had blue eyes, you can move it to the left to give them a cool blue ocean tone. Or if you have green eyes, you can move the tint to the left towards the green and really make your eyes pop. So I think that looks pretty good. It's best to look at eyes zoomed out and get an idea of what they look, because this is how your audience is going to see the images zoomed out. They're not going to go into 100% and look at your eyes. So zoomed out, that looks pretty good. Looks like the eyes really pop now. And the next thing we need to do is bring back detail in the areas where we lost due to the contrast adjustments. And mainly we're looking at the beard down here and areas in the hair. And we're going to go back again to the trusty adjustment brush. We're going to change it to the dodge or lighten setting. And again, that's just going to get us started. It's not going to be all the way there. And we're just going to paint again with a huge feather, have it set to 100, and just paint in the dark areas of the beard here. And just so we can bring back that detail. And all we need to do to bring back that detail is we can try increasing the shadows and increasing the exposure a little bit. And we don't want to go too nuts. We just want to make sure we still have a good blend. We don't want the adjustment to be noticeable. We just want the detail back. We want to see all the little hairs and texture. And that looks pretty good right there. I boosted the exposure and the shadows, and now that real dark patch is back. And now we just need to do the same thing with the hair. Again, using a large feather. Using a large feather means that the inside of the circle gets the full adjustment, and the outer circle has a tapering effect, which gives you smooth transitions. And I'm all about the smooth transitions because that hides the adjustment. That keeps people from being able to notice that you monkeyed with things. And so I'm just painting in the darker areas of the hair, and now I'm going to increase the exposure to really bring out that detail in the hair. And maybe I'll add some clarity and just really bring out all those waves and things like that. And it looks like I got a little spot here that I want to get rid of. And I don't like where it chose to. Oh, this is being a little butthead. I don't think it's going to let me do... Just a little more. Ah, so close. Oh, there we go. Boom. That was a tricky one. Okay. And now we have a super contrasty, just really bright, light and dark, awesome image in black and white, just with a few simple adjustments and some fine-tuning. And if you look at the difference, the dramatic difference between the real bland raw file and then the adjusted black and white contrasty super image here. I'm being a little boastful. I hope that helped you guys out, show you some of the tools you can use to get really great black and white images. And have a nice day. I will see you later. If you have any questions, shoot them to my inbox.